It's the greatest movie ever made, but
Are we live?
I think maybe Anora should have been called Snow White.
Are we live?
Snow White and the Seven Anoras.
Hello? Are we live?
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
There's no crying in baseball. This is wrong, bitch. Hey, the Schwartz be with you.
I am your father.
Get you, my pretty.
Take your stinking paws off me.
May the force be with you.
Here's Johnny.
What up, film fans? Happy Tippy Top Tuesday. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to episode 347. Welcome to Anora. You're listening to a new episode of the Cine-Men movie podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew, the fellas, Zach,
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Jay,
Good evening, guys. How's everybody out there in podcast land?
good evening, good morning, good night, all the above. It is Tuesday, May the 6th, 2025, and we are bringing you yet another new episode of the only
Quality content.
the only place that matters. Why go anywhere else and get your subject matter for the movies and physical media, which if you have not listened to our last few episodes, they have been really good topics of conversations. A few weeks ago with physical media part 1, and then last week we had a huge conversation all about Sinners. We dived deep into that movie. So such a great movie and a great episode. Go check it out. That's what we talked about last week. You can find all of our links on our social media pages at facebook.com/the Cine-Men movie podcast. Or you can check out all of the recent watches on my half on the Instagram. It's Instagram/Cine-Men movie podcast. Or shoot us some emails at cinemen921@gmail.com. But the social media links you can find everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, and there's links to our episodes in those social medias. You can also watch us live on Facebook every Tuesday night and on YouTube at Imisawa Productions YouTube channel.
You can even check out our OnlyFans channel where we all do some risque stuff. So, sorry, we're not supposed to promote that one yet. Sorry, guys.
That'll be our
Patreon exclusive.
Patreon exclusive, yeah. But yeah. So, are you guys ready to discuss Anora?
Or a Bora. What are we going to call it?
I don't know. I
will sit there and say this. I know it seems crass and crude and rude. If there wasn't tits and ass in this movie is absolutely 100% boring as hell.
I feel the opposite, but we'll talk about it.
There's my little encompass of what I thought my first time and second
time. Zach, we'll get ready to get into you. What about you? First time versus now?
To be honest, I only got to see this movie once. I got to see it in theaters the Wednesday after it won the Best Picture Oscar, and it was a packed theater. Believe it or not, I think people kind of wanted to see what the hype was and see if it was worthy of the title of Best Picture. First time, I was just like, it's pretty ballsy that the Academy got this to gave this Best Picture winner. I kind of wish I'd seen it again. Give some backstory, I wasn't going to be on this episode, but Johnny held a gun to my head and said, "Yeah, you will be on this episode."
That's only OnlyFans.
So, but just thinking about the movie and just kind of making my notes, I'm just not a big fan of this. What about you?
I think it was the complete opposite. I think since this had won Best Picture, you're like, no, I have to get on to talk about this.
No.
So
I'm happy you're
I'm
here, by the way.
I'm kind of the same way, that I'm in the same boat all three of you were in. I don't know if I don't know if I'm gonna overall hate this movie as much as you guys did the second time around. I did find it, a lack thereof, not interesting the second time I watched it. The first time I was kind of in the ooh and ah of maybe the business and the relationship, but I'll keep it short and sweet for now. I'll put, after my first time watch, out there, pretty good. After the second time, I was just like, all right. But what we're talking about today is we are talking about Anora, with the release date of October 18th, 2024. The budget was $6 million. It did gross a little over $60 million at the box office. IMDb has this at a 7.5 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is at 93%. The Metascore is at 91%. And the Letterboxd is a 3.9 out of 5.
Do you have audience score for Rotten Tomato?
I don't.
84%, I think.
Ooh,
A young stripper from Brooklyn meets and impulsively marries the son of a Russian rich mobster-like gangster. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened, and his parents are set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. Starring Mickey Madsen, Paul Wiseman, Yura Borgasov. Excuse me while I butcher some of these Russian names.
I was about to say you're going to butcher the hell out of the next few names, aren't you?
Yeah.
I was just going to say Mikey Madison and just call it a day.
Yeah, there we go. That's all that
But written and directed by Sean Baker. Guys, I usually throw some love out there to my past A24 directors. If you guys have not seen this movie, we're 8 minutes into the episode. It's on Hulu if you want to go check it out on Hulu. But I gotta say, this movie for me, I'm gonna go ahead and start talking some positives. So I'm not gonna be super, again, we're all adults here. This movie is about a stripper, and Mickey Madsen she did win the Oscar for Best Actress. But I gotta say, I don't think it was deserving of not even the wins, but I don't even think it was deserving of the nominations that it got.
I agree with you.
Even though I am going into the positive, that's a big negative to start off with a positive. But I think the two big positives of this movie is the very well written script by Sean Baker, probably the direction of Sean Baker, the cinematography, and then Mickey Madsen's overall performance. Other than that, the second time around, the chemistry wasn't there with any of the other actors. I completely was looking at my phone the entire time, just waiting for this to end. Especially when you know everything is coming. The young fellow who played the husband in this, Mark Schleiflin, played Ivan. Just man, I was not interested in his character the second time around whatsoever.
His character is to me, his character was always written to come across as a little narcissistic little asshole, and that's my perception of him. Like he was just this spoiled little brat, like they say in the movie. Even his parents sat there, and his dad kind of laughs at him at the end because he's like, "Look at you! You like, try to be a big man and shit, but look at you! You can't do anything."
Yeah.
But my biggest thing about this movie is that the movie is called Anora. We're supposed to go on this journey with Anora, and by the time the movie is over, I want to walk away from Anora and get a shower because she is a terrible person. She is a terrible, terrible person.
Yeah.
I think that she's
entitled.
I think my first note that I wrote down when preparing for this episode is my first note was Oscar winner question mark. Like,
Well,
is this really worthy of all the hype that it got?
No, this to me is nothing that I couldn't catch on Skinamax back when I was a teenager, trying to find something to beat off to. I'm not playing. I know that sounds gross and crude, but seriously, this is one of those movies you'd find at 2 o'clock in the morning on Skinamax.
But the thing is like I haven't seen Sean Baker's other movies. Red Rocket, wasn't that about like a porn star or something like that?
yeah, Red Rocket is really, really crude. It seems like the direction of style that he's done, other than the Florida Project.
It's very like hypersexual, all his other
Yeah,
films.
yeah. And the only ones I've seen, honestly, are the Florida Project, Red Rocket, and now Anora. But if his masterpiece is the Florida Project.
I've heard that's really good, yeah.
I know he, got a lot of recognition this time around, but can I say quietly, I don't know how we can put this together, but I think this Oscar win was more political than anything.
Was it a?
What do you mean?
Was it a? Are you talking maybe? Hey, we're giving you this Oscar because we didn't give your other movies an Oscar type of situation, kind of like
No,
what they did with Leo, or how
no. I just think I really don't know how to put it. The biggest way I can probably put it is that this whole show, and besides Adrian Brody's win, a lot of other stuff just felt like a political slap in the face. Like,
Well,
you
that's what
know,
the Oscars
I don't
turned into now.
I mean, I honestly don't think it's a political move. I think, I said it on our Oscars episode. I think 2024 was very much less recognized independent cinema. The Brutalist, with the exception of Doom Part 2 and Wicked, those are pretty much the only two blockbusters we got. It reminded me a lot of 2014 when it was like the Grand Budapest Hotel and Birdman and Boyhood.
Art house movies.
Let's focus on cinema that is not going to get a lot of publicity, not a lot of likes. It might get a lot more. I think this movie was like number 1 on Hulu when it hit, which is like, it goes back to let's see what this movie's about, since it won
but
Best Picture.
I seriously doubt that. I'm very on the line of this movie could have not have won Best Picture, and it still would have been trending on Hulu because of how many perverts are out there.
Here's
That's
the
just
I mean,
if you
that's
really,
just, that's just my thoughts.
if they really wanted to go very political at the Oscars, they wouldn't have had this one. They would have had what's that? The trans movie from Netflix.
Oh, Emilia Perez, yeah.
They would have had that one if they wanted to make a political statement, because right now trans stuff is the huge
Well,
thing going on right now in America and overseas.
Okay, but over Anora right now, Amelia Perez is a way better film than this is.
But I've heard the opposite.
Yeah, have you seen it?
No, I haven't. I won't watch it.
It's
musical.
it's a way better movie than Anora, and it's just I still feel like even if it wasn't for Best Picture, Anora probably still would have been trending, because how many people just had to see her nude.
Here's the thing about it. But here's the thing about it. There's a couple points I want to make real quick. For one, you said the budget was $6 million, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it grossed almost $60 million.
At $6 million budget, the movie had a look of a $100 million movie. I will give it that. He had a lot of locations, the camera work, the cinematography, everything looked high class. Everything looked great for this to budget. Like, seriously, $6 million and this is what you got? Excellent. Hell yeah. That's a good director right there that could take everything he's given and create something that's very stylistically, the movie looks beautiful because it takes place in Vegas, it takes place in strip clubs with lights, deep dark alleys and shit like that, stuff like that, but it just has a good look to it. But then on the other end, it's just like, I don't know, just everything else about it just completely misses the point.
That's Sean Baker, though, filming on location or places that look like location. He's always going to save money and do what he can in his budget, because that's just what he does. Yeah. And it's just,
I think I read something that, I don't know if it was this movie or maybe one of his other movies. Like, he would go on location and shoot the film, and then he would edit it in his car, like to save time and effort in order to get onto the next part of the film or filming process.
Yeah.
To me, this movie is like, I don't think this is a bad movie. I don't think this is a great movie. I think this is going to be one of those films that 10 years down the road we're going to be like, why do we let that? Why do we even nominate that? Like, it's just like
I look
looking
at
back,
this
just
as
like
no different
that's
than
a mistake.
Showgirls. I look at this as no different than Showgirls. Both of these movies were over the top. Both of these movies had a bunch of nudity and sex and tried to make a statement about, sex work and shit like that. And it's just like, yeah, who cares?
Well, and post Oscars, Mikey Madison got a lot of flack for going up on stage and saying like she wanted to recognize the sex worker community and all this and that and their heroes. And it's just like, I get what she was doing, but at the same time, it's just like, I mean, she was recognizing that character and that community of people. But a lot of people were like, why would you go on stage at a Covenant Award show and say, the heroes are the sex workers,
That'd be like somebody winning an Oscar for being a waitress, and they go up there and be like, you know what, waitressing is hard work. It's not for everybody. It's a job where you can make minimum wage and get tips. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could do another analogy. But I'll leave it alone. But no, no, some of the character work, some of the acting in this movie was very good. I'll give her that. Whenever I sit there, I've been to the strip club a lot. I mean, I'm not a young man. I'm 43 years old. I was able to go to the strip club when I was 18 years old, and when I seen Anora, and I seen how Mickey Madsen was acting and everything like that, I was like, holy shit, that's how a real stripper is. They go from
Yeah,
table
but
to table, asking about dances, trying to just the hustle. I got that. I got that aspect of her. But it was whenever she started, whenever him and her hooked up, and they started, that's when. But you could also tell that she had a price for everything. Everything on her body was for sale.
yeah, but like as far as performance goes, I think the only grade that this movie deserves is her performance, and even then, it's not even that good. Like
Yeah. I mean,
I think your B-rated actress could play a pretty good stripper.
Like I told you at the beginning of the review, that the main character Anora I found grating and annoying by the end of the movie because of how she screamed and she just got to become. I get where she was coming from on certain parts, but by the end she was just. Was she that fucking? Or sorry, was she that stupid or naive or I don't know what she was, but she was just.
Well,
Dumb.
by the end, I think this is overall, and come at me if you want, but I think overall this is an American dream kind of movie about taking somebody who doesn't really want to be where she's at, but she knows she makes good money because of her body. She is naive because she comes in with this high roller that comes in. He kind of just, even though she's being paid, she gets swept off her feet.
I didn't feel
And
it sweeping at all.
what's that?
I didn't feel it sweeping at all. I just felt it was another day, another paycheck to her.
oh,
Well,
I don't think that. I think, well, when she's with I don't want to call it teenage boy. That's Vanya.
yeah.
I think she's not really so much worried about, the repercussions of what her actions are. That she's just getting a paycheck. I mean, when the Vanya says, "Hey, I'll pay you $15,000 to be my girlfriend," there's no logical thinking in that. It's just like, oh, okay, where are we going to go next? And
Yeah.
so, but at the end of the movie, where I really wish they had focused more on the Igor character, because I think he was like, he could see she was more than the job. You know what I mean? She's a person. She has feelings. She has emotions. She has likes and dislikes. And at the
You
end of the
could tell she
movie,
was
where
damaged.
do what? She's
You could
damaged.
tell, yeah.
Yeah. And at the very end of the movie, where she's crying on top of his lap, I think that it's just the realization of how did I say that? Final scene of hurt, of like you said, Johnny, this is not what she wanted her life to be, essentially.
And me
Oh.
and Juan has discussed this, how that ending, how, I looked at it like this, for her to express, she's a very troubled woman psychologically, if you sit there and think about it, because her way of expressing gratitude to this guy saving her ring and being kind of nice to her was, her first instincts was to have sex with him.
Yeah.
Like legit, she like goes over, hops on top of him, pulls his stuff out. She does everything.
Yeah.
And and then she weeps on him because I think the intimacy, and I think she understood at that moment someone cared,
And she didn't know how to respond to
it
that.
broke her.
Well, and she didn't know how to respond to it. At the end of the day, you know, like you said, like that's her job is to quote unquote make a man feel good, but she doesn't know how to do it on an emotional level, essentially.
Yeah, and I think overall, like the whole aspect though of her being kind of like, just call it what you will, but her being swept into existence by Ivan, whether, because at the end of the day, when he proposes, the whole girlfriend gig is off, and she's wanting to just, of course, she probably knows, he's loaded. Look at
Yeah.
this house. I'm getting married, but it's like, it's the security blanket of not only being married, but having somebody who just paid her 15 grand.
Well,
Yeah.
it's also that when she sits there and goes to the club to ask for that week off, she sits there and tells a lot of her friends, like, girls, I hit the lottery. I found the guy. I got
Yeah.
the guy. And in her mind, this whole fantasy, this was just nothing but a fantasy for her, that, holy shit, I found this, the one, I found the diamond in the rough. And the diamond in the rough was pretty rough.
It was interesting to see this in a theater setting because it was, like I said, it was a predominantly. No, it wasn't awkward. I think people obviously knew what they were getting themselves into, but a lot of people, like, this is very much a black comedy where there was a lot of laughter in the theater and like at the appropriate moments.
Oh yeah, it's a funny movie.
Yeah,
I only laughed a couple times when homeboy, because of the concussion, he starts puking in the truck.
Yeah.
Now that part I laughed at. The rest of it, I was just I thought it was taking itself too seriously in some parts.
See, I completely feel the opposite. I think it, especially knowing the kind of movies that Sean Baker does, he puts you in serious moments, but at the end of the day, they're, like Jack said, the black comedy aspect of it is, that it's just a funny haha moment, like the candy shop scene.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything past the 40-minute mark, once they get engaged and on, it's literally just a comedy film, and it's like, it's almost like chasing, like a hunt almost. Who's gonna find Ivan first, and how are they gonna find him?
That's exactly what I wrote in my notes. I would say the first 45 minutes to an hour is, like you say, Jay, it's almost like a softcore porn, and then from that point forward, after they get married and the henchmen get to the mansion, it's a chase for the rest of the movie. Like you said, who can get to Vanya first? And that scene where it's literally Anora and all the henchmen, they're arguing amongst themselves. It reminded me so much of Uncut Gems, where it's just like the chaotic nature of, you can't understand what anyone is saying, but it's just like it almost drives you mad just watching.
I can tell you,
frustrated watching this movie.
I can tell you what was missing, and we'll go back to frustrating, but I can tell you what was missing was, as they were searching for Ivan, it was the anxiety of an A24 score.
Yes. Yep.
That was missing, and I felt bored while they were looking for him. Jay, what about you?
The reason why I said frustrating was that a lot of these characters never made logical decisions in the situations they were put in my opinion. That if I was sitting there put in these certain situations, like, how many times does the Armenian guy going at a restaurant, cause a bunch of shit, and then nobody does anything? You know what I mean? And then driving off with the truck on the tow truck. It's like, they've done a lot of stupid stuff that should have got them caught and arrested before they even found Ivan. Yeah. Even she done stupid shit before they found Ivan. They were all dumb. It's like there was not a single brain cell through any of besides Igor. And Igor was the quiet one watching.
What it reminded me.
Any of his opinions were always shot down because they were just looked upon as like, oh, that's just a side dude. Who gives a shit what he has to say? But he was the most smartest person in the room.
Coming from a guy who's been watching The Sopranos nonstop all week, I'm like, wait a minute, they were causing scenes. I'm looking at this like a mild tenured event, and I'm like, I felt like they were not causing scenes at all.
Well, and
I
that's
look at it from a real world perspective. You go to a candy shop, start smashing shit up. You're not telling me that someone's going to call the cops on you.
Yeah. Well, and
steal a car off the back of a tow truck. The tow truck driver's not going to call the cops.
Yeah. Well, it was. I'm kind of glad you brought up The Sopranos. It's not obviously this is nowhere near on that level, but I'm talking about like kind of how the henchmen acted. They almost seemed like just goons, from like a, like you don't fear them. Like like you said, Jay,
They're stock
they do.
Bond villains.
Yeah, they're bad Bond villains, and that you're just like, okay, we're just waiting for the kidnapping, but we never get to that.
But there's a line in the movie, and I think it's from Annie, how she calls them like they're all sloppy,
Yeah.
and
Like
it's
even she looks at them and says like, dude, you're effing this up bad. Like
yeah.
you are terrible at this.
And who's the guy that makes the deal with her anyway about telling her if you get the annulment or if you get it annulled, I'll
That's
yeah, we'll give you 10,000. He has his shit together, other than a few times where he snaps at like the tow truck. But
Yeah.
you can tell the two other henchmen and him. I mean, everything was just sloppy until, rightfully so, the boss.
I always thought they were sloppy from the time they showed up in the movie.
Right, and it's what I was about to get to is it shows how sloppy they are until the boss, which is the dad, gets into America, and then everybody has their shit together.
It's not even the dad. I'm gonna correct you. It's the mom. Everybody's afraid of.
It's the mother. Yeah.
The dad,
Well,
they think it's a cool friend. The mom, they fear.
well, and really, I think out of kind of showing my hand here, I think the best scene of the movie is when Anora tells off the mom, said, "Hey, your son married me to spite you. He hates you. He hates that lifestyle, and I probably would have been a better choice than what you are." And it's kind of like this full circle moment of like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's a little daddy's boy, rich boy, but at the same time, he hates that life. Like he would do anything not to go back to that.
But see, we're never given full understanding of what his family does. We're just are they
Yeah.
Are they real estate people? Are they drug people? Are they mobsters? Or what makes them? Because everybody fears them, but Anora.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good point. And Johnny, I'd like to, since you've seen more Sean Baker movies than we have, it was a very one-sided version of the story. We kind of see the events through Anora's point of view. Is that kind of how his other films are? And the other characters kind of walk in, and you don't really get a backstory of what's going on.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely how the Florida Project is. Red Rocket is kind of the same way. You only get the one main backstory. Everything else is kind of just like side dishes. But what I would say is the son is so dumb and drunk and eager in the beginning anyway. He tells her straight up what he does or what they do, and it's either drugs or arms dealing or both.
Yeah.
But he's fucking with it, or he's messing with her.
No, I really think the way that character is meant about how, and I told you this from the beginning. I didn't really like the Ivan character or the actor who played him. And if he played him like that, then that's fine. He's just a damn good actor then. But he felt so mentally handicapped in the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's the point. His
right.
character's mentally stunted growth.
So he's not like he's a lot smarter than he's leading it on. And I think he told her the truth by they're either drug dealers or arms. Yeah. So, and
I'd probably go with a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Like I said, this movie, I don't think it's bad, but it's just, I kind of wish I got to rewatch it for the episode, but just I would say my biggest problem with this is why is this 2.5 hours long? It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like why is that? Why is this movie that long?
Because we need to make room for the sex scenes. Hello, we got to keep people interested in staying in the theater. There's no other, because the rest of the movie is shit.
Well, I mean, you literally could have done the Sinners thing, do 3 sex scenes, get out of there, and then get on with the plot.
Pull out and get out. Oh, there you go. Oh,
there you
go.
Yeah, I agree, but I think just because I don't know, just because the director he has to have those scenes in.
I would say he's a very like. I don't want to say gritty, but just very like.
I don't even find this movie gritty. It's too slick.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's very slick in its filmmaking.
Like I said, when you told me the budget was $6 million, I'd been like, no, this is at least a $30-40 million budget just by locations, the buildings that they use, the
Well,
lighting, the
believe it or not,
cinematography, all this.
filming
That's $6 million, really?
filming on location is cheaper than filming in a studio.
I get that, but then you still got to sit there and consider,
And
you
he
got
does
$6 million. And did you see how big the HQ strip club was? That
he does.
place was huge.
I guarantee you, he probably shot in an actual strip club.
I
I'm
guarantee as
sure.
well. But sit there and look at how many different setups, and this is where I'm going to give it its praise. Look how many different setups and different locations. They were on the Jersey Shore, for God's sake. You know how expensive it is to shoot on the Jersey Shore? It is ridiculously expensive to shoot there.
I'm sure not for an independent filmmaker.
I don't know if there was some guerrilla filmmaking used in this, but the way the shots were set up, I can't say no. I can't say there was, because some of the shots were just set up too perfectly.
That's just Sean Baker.
Yeah.
I want to work with whoever helped produce his movies, because they're the one that made the magic. They're the one that took $6 million and made a movie look like it was $100 million. That's beautiful, man.
Oh, and I will say another not criticism, that's not what I want to say. Another compliment I want to give is that Mikey Madison is from LA, but she sounds like New York full throttle. Like her accent is like on the spot. Good, very good.
I was at least surprised with that her accent stayed throughout the entire movie, because a lot of actresses or actors that try to do an accent, they tend to lose it during certain scenes. You know what I mean? Or and this, she kept it.
She's the first member of Generation Z to win an acting Oscar. That's That's funny.
And I still think it's funny that a lot of people, whenever she did win the Academy Award, they're like, "See, this is the substance plot all over. Look, it's happening in real life."
So this movie was nominated for 6 Oscars and it won 5.
Yeah.
Sean Baker won for Best Achievement in Film Editing, won for Best Original Screenplay. Mickey Madsen won for Best Actress in a Leading Role. Sean Baker won for Best Directing, and then it won Best Picture of the Year.
Yeah, so he won. He technically won I think he won 4 Oscars that night, which is kind of impressive when you think about it.
He won 4 and she won the other. So
yep.
All around, since it was his movie, he won
5.
Yeah.
But is it one of the worst movies that the Academy has chosen for Best Pictures?
God, no.
Is it one of the more duller ones? Yes. In my opinion, yes. Even the ones that shouldn't have won at least had something going for it. This one didn't have really anything going for it, but stripper looking for the looking for the American dream. Well, I don't know what dream she was looking for. She was just too stupid and naive. And like whenever the mobsters broke in the house, and you got these 2 big burly dudes in there, and she's sitting there running her mouth, and you're like, shut up.
Yeah.
You do not know what these dudes are capable of. We don't know at this point in the film. We're never given the information. We're jokingly given information by Ivan that his family might be in the drugs or the arms trade. So if you're given that information, wouldn't you, as a person, whenever you're meeting his dad's goons, shut up?
No.
Shut up.
No, because that's the personality of every New Yorker known to man.
Quite literally.
Like
I don't care.
They've seen it. They don't have it. She don't have any. That she's seen and done it all. You live in New York City. You spit in everybody's face who tries to do you wrong, and I mean that's just the nature of how her character is. Now, if this movie was based in like West Texas or maybe not even California, but somewhere in the Midwest, I think. But because of how many probably stuff and nasty, cruel things she puts up with in that city, nah, she's not putting up with this.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I get that, but it's still it's just like
you're going to get
your ass killed because you're stupid.
This is one of those movies where whatever scene or city they are in also plays a major part, and the city or scene or background is just as big as character as Ivan or
and I'll agree with that
Annie.
because at the time when we go to Vegas the first time, we don't realize how important it is to the overall story until near the end, right?
Yeah.
So
because the entire movie's set up where the attorney's going to like, we got to go to the New York courthouse, we got to go here and get this annulled, and then when they get there, the lawyer finds out you guys got married in Vegas. I can't do nothing here.
overall,
I'm not even an attorney in Vegas. You guys got to go to Vegas to get that fixed.
overall, what would be you guys' biggest negative on the movie if you just had to pick one thing?
My biggest negative is the length. This movie does not. This does not need to be 2.5 hours long.
Jay?
Just some of the, I don't know what it is. It just feels there's something missing with this movie. Like, I found it dull and boring. Like I told Zach before we went on here, it took me 4 hours to watch this movie the second time because I kept dozing off because I was uninterested.
Oh,
I was
wow.
like, and I was like, because like I said, if it weren't for the for the nudity, sometimes I would have lost interest. I know that seems just very rude and crap, whatever. That was the only thing that kind of kept me interested. It was like, oh yeah, it's more nudity, cool. At least there's something on screen that I'm interested in. Just sometimes, like I said, it was just kind of just the characters were not. They all seemed dumb except Igor.
Yeah.
And like they were all. It was like they were almost playing caricatures of what they thought were Russian mobsters or gangsters or whatever the hell they were trying to portray. I thought the Armenian guy's performance was over the top as hell, and he was annoying to me. I found him annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said ask for one thing, and I just went through a laundry list. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think this movie definitely is. It's a good one-time watch to kind of show you
Yes.
if you're not an independent film lover. I think you can be like, okay, why did this movie win Best Picture? And I think you could watch it one time and be like, okay, I can see it for maybe this handful of things. Why? But then it's one of those movies that once you set it down next to the, well, in my case, once I set this down with the other 90 Best Picture winners I have, I'll never pick it up again.
It's not rewatchable.
Here's my thing. Technically, it is a Oscar caliber film based on the budget, in my opinion, based on the budget of what they had and what they did with it and everything, the cinematography, everything that they did. But everything else, the acting, blah, 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 no, it doesn't hold up under scrutiny. The story there was no story, really. To me, it just
pretty big story.
Well, we're sitting there at the house while she's being tied up for 15 minutes while they try to subdue this girl. 15 minutes. Seriously, that scene was 15 minutes long.
It's a very unconventional fairy tale, essentially.
Yeah.
Is it this generation's Pretty Woman?
Oh, Lord. I hope not. God, I hope not.
It could be.
The whore with the heart of gold gets the good man?
Well, no, I wouldn't call Ivan a good man. I think he would have had something if it was one of those kind of like stories.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna like fantasy book it, whatever. But I think what he gave us, obviously he did something right in the Oscars' eyes. I think maybe because the Oscars are, converted with a bunch of old white men. I think they're like, oh, nudity, ha ha ha. Let's give this a Best Picture winner. If you take the nudity out of it, maybe they don't even give it a Best Picture nod. I don't know. I don't know how pervy that makes this country sound or this Oscar board sound, but I really do think there's a lot more movies that could have been nominated in this place.
Yeah.
I even think,
that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm trying to say. Did they nominate it on its technical merits or its movie? The storyline, all that.
Yeah.
That way. Seriously, which one did they weigh it on that?
I even think a movie like where Florence Pugh is with
We Live in Time.
We Live in Time.
That was much more deserving than this.
Yeah. So, but
speaking of Academy Awards, do you think so far that we're in 2025, about 5 months? We're 5 months in. Is there anything that's been released so far that Best Picture wise could be up there? I could give you two. I think Companion and possibly Sinners could be up there. Even though I haven't seen Sinners all the way through, but what I have seen, it is very good.
I would say if the Oscars were tomorrow, I think Sinners could win Best Picture. Like, no joke.
The backtrack story of how the last few years have been, I don't think we've seen anything that's going to be nominated going into next year yet.
I think Sinners will. A lot of people, Yeah.
I think Sinners may hold out, or at least in the Best Picture category.
Yeah, I would
Maybe
agree.
Best Director.
Let's go back to this episode in about 9 months and see if Sinners even gets nominated. I want it to, because I don't get me wrong, I gave it a 5 stars last week. One of my favorite films, but it's just the on the track that the Oscars are the last few years. I don't think it's
I
going
don't
to. There's a
see.
new there's a new Benedict Cumberbatch movie that's coming out,
Oh
We've
God.
seen the trailer to that. We've seen they showed it during the Thunderbolts or
and
the New Avengers. I should
that
say.
that looks like it's probably going to get some praise.
Mm. Roses, is that the Roses or whatever it is? Is that what it's
Yeah.
called?
It's a comedy with they're directed by the director Meet the Parents.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with Olivia
Coleman.
Colman.
Yeah.
And every time she's in a movie, she gets nominated.
Well, yeah.
So
That is true. I mean, you are right about that.
yeah, but the way that movie looks in that trailer, it feels like an old school '90s or '80s Woody Allen movie, and the Oscars just eat that up.
I thought it felt like an 80s or at least a 90s British TV show.
Yeah.
The trailer, at least the trailer to the movie we're talking about now.
Favorite scene from Anora. Zach, we'll start with you.
Probably the like I said, towards the end of the film when Nora gets to tell off Vanya's parents and be like, "Hey, you suck. I'm a better person than you deep down, regardless of what you think of me as my profession. I'm a way better person than you'll ever be." So,
Jay?
Oh, you had to come to me next. I really don't know if I have a favorite scene in this movie. It's just like I said, most of it was just by the second time watching this, I just ready for it to be over, man.
I will probably pick the scene where she goes and gets Ivan from the HQ,
oh
and,
yeah,
and
he's
she
like,
starts she starts the little drama on the way out. I thought that was pretty fun. Um, and then I'll agree with you, Zach. The scene where she's telling off the mom. So star rating for the Best Picture winner. I'll start us off. If you would have caught me 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, I would have gave this movie a 4. But you know how we like to rate movies here, rewatchability wise. Knocked it down a little bit for me. I'm gonna give this movie overall a 3. Um, I don't know when I'm gonna pick it up again. But it is one of those movies that, like Jay says, I mean, and what he got nominated for and won, it did look good. Set design, score, shooting on location, everything the director did was top notch. Mickey Madsen's performance wasn't the greatest. That should have probably been nominated or won. No, but I will say that actress, she does make this movie. If she's not in this movie and somebody else is in there, maybe I don't know how good it would be. Again, though, she's playing a stripper, so you could maybe if you put what if J Lo's in there and this movie's a little bit better? I don't know. But Anora gets a 3 from me. Zach?
I'm right there with you. I'm going to give it a 3 as well. It fits the criteria of it's fine. I'll probably never watch it again, to be quite honest. I agree with you. I think this is Sean Baker's quote unquote masterpiece in the idea that it is really well directed. It's really well shot. It's really well written. Mikey Madison does give a good performance. I'll say that. I agree with you. I don't think it's really Oscar caliber, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, I never want to watch it again. So
This feels like before Jake goes on. This feels like a very 2020 COVID movie.
It does, yes.
Yeah, that we're like, oh, this is why it won all these awards because nothing else came out.
Yeah, that's
Jay?
that's a perfect description.
Okay. Like I said, I've seen better movies on Skinamax at 2:00 in the morning. That seriously, I'm not playing. They had almost the same damn storyline sometimes. Bad guy, like there's Anna Nicole Smith movie called Skyscraper. It's basically Anna Nicole Smith being John McClane in a skyscraper. It was, and they showed her boobs a bunch during the movie. So, and that's the way I looked at it. It was just a plot to have some boobs in it. Technically, movie gorgeous, shot well. I don't know about well written, Zach, but it's good on that aspect.
It's well written in some parts. I should probably clarify that.
But And Mickey Madsen does do well in this movie. But like I said, I found her abrasive and annoying by the end of the movie. That I don't know if I should have been feeling that towards her character by the end of that movie. I was almost grossed out by her decision because when she sits there and, like I said, I know it's the only way she could show affection, but she sits there and starts riding that guy, and just to show him that, oh, thank you for being nice to me. It's like, bro, stop! Oh, you're gross.
But go ahead.
But I'm like, I'm gonna give this movie a 2, man.
That's fair.
The rewatchability is not there. Cool. We got to see Mickey Madsen naked. I'm not going to sit there and deny that wasn't a plus in the movie, but the rest of the movie is just everybody's stupid and just. Ugh.
Give us your thoughts and opinions. Hit us up on the social media. It's available now on Hulu. Go check out Anora. And
we had a fan today comment on one of your posts.
And
we had a fan comment on one of your posts today about the movie that he turned it halfway off because he couldn't do it.
We did. So go check it out. It's on Hulu. Hit us up on the social medias. Send us an email. The email is cinemen921@gmail.com. And next week, go to the theater. This week, go to the theater. Come back and listen to our thoughts exclusively all about Thunderbolts next week on another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.